Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good Monday morning and welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Bill Allen, sitting in for Winston Chester, who's on assignment, as they say. I got a very special guest in today. We're going to be talking about freshwater fishing and everything from trot lines to trolling for brim. So if you're interested in freshwater, today's your show. We're looking at today, by the way, you already know this, it's Monday, June the 6th. High tide today, high temperature today is 85 with a low of 73, mostly sunny throughout the day. Winds southeast at 5 to 10, probably be more than that. We're looking at a low tide at 12:43 a.m. and a high tide at 2:20 p.m. There's 35% illumination on the moon. If you take that into consideration, still not too bad. Peak times, good day to fish. There's a couple of peak times today that run from 5:11 a.m. to 7:11 a.m. and then this afternoon at 5:27 p.m. to 7:27 p.m. We're still looking at a water temperature that's hovering around 76 degrees, so it's pretty sporty. Apalachicola at Bluntstown. Apalachicola is at 5.5 feet, and we've been on a slow fall for the last 3 to 4 days. And it's still indicating that's just dropping a little bit. Choctawhatchee at Caryville's at 5.5 feet, but it's kind of been flat for the last 3 days or so. So both of them in good shape. You got some good water moving at Appalach. And we're going to go ahead and take this break and come right back with our special guest. Good morning. Welcome back. I am joined by a familiar face, Mr. Bill Shields, most famous for being Cody and Trey's daddy. But we are already, having looked at that river reading and what's going on, we have already planned a houseboat excursion for this weekend to continue our ongoing research into catfish.
The ongoing saga.
That population at the Brothers River. But let's talk about that real quick. How great is this right now? How are you excited about this water?
I am. I tell you, I like it. You know, always the river, when the river's falling, that's a good thing. You know, there's a couple of things you got to have, and one of them's moving water.
Yep.
And if it's moving in the wrong direction and rising, you may as well stay at the house. But you know, down on the end of
but we don't tell him.
No, we don't tell people that.
Yeah.
No, don't share that information.
I'm sure.
Be sure and cut this out. But you know, down on from Howard's Creek and below, all of that's tidal in there. So, you know, if you got water moving, that's a great thing. But if the tide's rising, just about as soon stay at the house.
Yeah.
You know, or stay at the houseboat until it turns around and starts running out again.
There are other things to do, and at 5.5 feet, you know, they're not up in the woods anymore. They're out where they should be.
That's right.
And
but they ought to be good and fat because they've been in the woods eating bugs
for
a while now, and
have been denied for the past 3 or 4 weeks strawberry chicken.
But true. So
there you go.
They ought to be licking.
They haven't been eating any of that for sure.
They ought to be licking their lips.
If you don't know what we're talking about, you got to go back and find the episode we did on the new superfood for catfish, which is strawberry chicken, which I swore would never work, and I thought we'd be wasting our time all day. But I started to say I admit that I was wrong, but we both know I'm not going to say that. But I was astounded at the success of the strawberry chicken on the trot lines. But
it works.
I think we got that up there now. That's
That's
a little kitty that you pulled out.
That's a 22-pound blue cat on strawberry chicken.
Yeah.
And on that particular day, we caught 2 that were almost twins, 22 pounds apiece, and then we had another one that was 15 pounds.
Yeah.
On trot lines that day.
Yeah, and then we had
that was in the fall.
We had one before that was 15 pounds.
Right, but that was back last fall. It's kind of interesting. I'm kind of looking forward to getting down there this weekend and running trot lines because I don't know exactly when, with our ongoing research, I don't know exactly when the bedding takes place for different species of catfish. I know channel cats go at one time, flatheads go at another, blue cats go at another time, and all of that starts in the spring and runs through the summer.
Well, that's why it requires so much research.
That's true. You just you got to do it over and over and over again, prove what
field research.
Yes,
right.
absolutely. So, before you sit down and start writing, of course, neither one of us know how to write, so that
not well, but. If you just recap real quick, Bill, in his extensive YouTube research on catfishing, came up with some guys who were cutting up chunks of. Did it matter what?
I've used chicken breast and I've used chicken thighs, and one works equally as well as the other.
And dumping a box of.
Put them in a Ziploc bag with strawberry jello mix and just put it in there and let it marinate overnight and put it in the refrigerator, obviously. Don't want it to spoil.
And in addition to the success with the trot lines, we were also cutting it into small chunks and catching the catfish that I love, about like that size.
Well, and it's funny. It's like, I guess it's like anything else. We've sit there and you sitting in the back of the boat and I'm sitting in the front of the boat. I'll be fishing with chicken. You'll be fishing with earthworms. One day they'll eat the earthworms, the next day they'll eat the chicken, and it's just, who knows, but it's,
And so just one more note on that. If the fishing does get slow and you start to get bored, don't snack on the chicken.
No, that's not a good thing.
I ain't gonna tell you how I know that, but just don't snack on the chicken. Not that great an idea. All right, that's a quick catfish segment. We're gonna be right back after this break talking about brim fishing. All right, welcome back. About 2 weeks ago, on the full moon, 3 weeks ago, on the full moon, I got what was almost an urgent call in the afternoon to bust out a fly rod. You want to expand about that day?
Well, we decided the next morning we were going to get up and go to White's River. And so we took off to, about 4:30 in the morning and headed to White's River and dumped the boat in the water at Land's Landing and run down there. And I guess we probably fished for a couple of hours in there with a fly rod. I think we had 2 fish in the boat and 2 keepers in the boat. I just was no water moving at all. The water was so low there wasn't any. Wasn't anything moving up in there. So after a couple of hours, we finally decided we got to go find some moving water. So
not giving up.
No. Long story short, we went run up into the dead lakes and found some mayflies. Not a pile of mayflies. The hatch is beginning, but it wasn't
enough.
It wasn't. Yeah. But we fished for another hour and a half till the cloud cover broke and the sun come out and started roasting us pretty good. But I think we caught, it was 16 or 18, something like that. But
large.
Nice brim. Yeah. Some of those that you catch on the fly rod during mayfly season. So anxious to get back down there. Just haven't had a chance. Been so busy at work and going visiting grandkids in New Orleans and all that. But anxious to get back down there and do some more of that because that mayfly hatch ought to be prime right now.
Yeah, it should be. And we've even seen some evidence of that up in some of the sandhill ponds that we've been fishing. Been some mayflies everywhere. But if you if you really want to make sure you're fly fishing and you're going to try that out, don't bring anything but your fly rod.
Yeah.
We didn't have a brim buster. We didn't have bass rod. We had nothing but fly rods on the way up there, and it had some of those weewall bugs. But it didn't matter. When we worked from cluster of trees to cluster of trees where you had some green overhang, they were just about under every single one of them.
Yeah, they were, and there were a lot of small fish in there that were coming up and you know, hitting your bug and all. But man, when one of those big hand paints about that size run up there was no doubt.
Well, the first one that I caught like that, I thought you'd fallen out of the boat. Like, good Lord, what happened? And he just exploded on it.
That looked like a speckled trout on the top water, man.
He was an absolute monster. But we were fishing, you know, just the everything. Like I said, the weewall bugs and the poppers, the Acadia, or what, I can't even remember the name of them now. I got 500 of them in there. But, you know, the chartreuse color with black, and then it didn't really matter if you put it in the right place. They were all over it.
You know, I've told you this story before, but Dennis Sauls and I were down there. It's been several years ago, and we had gotten down there and fished one afternoon late, and it was getting about dark, and so we decided to leave, and we're way back up in one of those stump fields, and we're kind of working our way out with the trolling motor, and when the sun got down behind the trees and it got almost dark, all of a sudden the mayfly hatch started. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I mean, I think I don't know what triggered it, if it was just the moon at that particular point, or the temperature, or the lack of light. I don't know what started, but all of a sudden these mayflies were hatching that particular night. And it looked like, Bill, the water was boiling. I mean, just as far as you could see in any direction out in that stump field, there were fish popping in the water. And, you know, we're sitting there with a fly rod, and I finally said, you know what? I just cranked it up, and we set our fly rods down and just sit there and watched it.
Too much competition.
Well, yeah, I mean, you didn't have a prayer catch a fish, but we turned the spotlight on, and there was just billions and billions of mayflies just swarming everywhere. I guess as they were hatching, coming to the top, they were just, I've never seen anything like it. I haven't seen anything before it. I haven't seen anything like it since. Well, that was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
How long ago was it? What, it was
probably 6 years ago.
Well, no, wait a minute. I mean, probably like 10 years ago when we were in Whites River one night.
Yeah.
And had fished
same thing
late in the afternoon until, you know, after dark when we decided to head out. And that's when you had your old boat that was the stick steering. And we came out, and I was trying to hold the light, but you couldn't see anything.
No, and that was on
the mayflies.
Yeah, we had come out of Whites River and was running back towards Land's Landing.
Right.
And when we got on the Chipola, it was like that. And all of those willow trees, and we weren't hungry by the time we got.
No.
By the time we got, we had eaten a lot of mayflies.
I was ducking down behind him. Holding the light was really just useless because all you were illuminating was. If you're out enough, you run into stuff like that.
It's amazing. It really is amazing when what things you see. But one thing about it, you're never going to see it sitting on the couch.
No,
you got to get out
absolutely right.
Get out there to see it.
I would have liked to have had the presence of mind to have tried to film us trying to run back, or for you to have done it that afternoon being out there. It's truly an amazing thing. But we wandered from, like I said, from cluster of trees to cluster of trees, and really we're not deep into dead lakes. We never hardly got out of sight of the bridge.
Yeah, I don't think we ever got outside.
But if you stayed back and you were able to slide that bug in there anywhere under there, it was a lot of fun. And like I said, we had cloud cover. We had very little wind blowing, for this time of year, or now any time of year.
True.
And it was just a phenomenal morning. We'll talk a little bit about more what we did there, and we'll talk about doing some of this sandhill pond fishing for them. So let's go ahead and take this break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Glad you're here. Couple of tips if you're fly fishing. You don't need to, if you're new to it, you don't need a 7 or 8 weight rod or anything like that. 3 or 4 weights good with a floating fly line, and these are brim. This is not like when we're fishing up in the mountains where those trout are extraordinarily picky and they're not easy to fool. Brim are not that hard to fool. I mean, Bill's been catching them for years. But I'll typically, use 4 to 6 pound for a leader, something like that.
Yeah, or lighter. I usually use it. I try to buy. You can buy tapered leaders that are 9-foot leaders that taper down to like 3 pound test. You can do that, or you can just buy those little spools of 6 pound or 4 pound or whatever. It kind of depends on what kind of the weight of the bug you're throwing. But like I said, it doesn't make that much difference to them. But what will make a difference to you is using a fly line dressing on your actual fly line, and you can run it down your leader too. And if you use a tippet, you can do that. But it keeps your line from sinking in the water, because if it's sinking, then it's hard to pick up, and it hits heavy and makes all kinds of. So you want to keep that done. And then also on the bugs, regardless of what kind of bugs you're using, the thing that we found to be most effective is you can go just about anywhere and buy that tent sealant, that camp silicone or whatever, and you can buy it a bitch cheap. But if you'll take that and spray that bug down, let it dry off a little bit, it'll sit right up on top of the water the way you want it to sit. And I know you always trim those rubber legs back a little bit. Yeah, and I tell you, I've started the fly line dressing that you can buy, or you can make your own fly line dressing there's some recipes you can find online for doing that.
On YouTube, right?
Yeah, on YouTube, yeah. But I'll take a little bit of that on my fingers and just kind of put my bug in there and just kind of put that on the bug a little bit, and it'll work the same way. We use in the mountain streams, we use something called ginks that you rub those tide flies with,
which you could use on that, but it's expensive to do so. But yeah, you either make your own or buy that can and keep them sprayed down, and just make sure if you see that line starting to drag that you pick it up. But now we have had in the past, month and a half or so, some real success in fishing some of these sandhill ponds with trolling crickets. If you haven't done that, it's a great way to find fish. But you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't turn my phone off. So one of the ways to fish the sandhill ponds, they're so clear. A lot of times trying to fish those with a brim buster and a cork, you're right on top of the fish. Mm-hmm. So a good way to fish that is the way I rig up is I rig up my ultralights.
The catfish rod.
Yeah, the ultralights. I rig those up with a leader, a swivel, a leader, and usually a number 8 Aberdeen hook, and then I'll put. Depends on the depth of the water, but usually I put maybe even a 1/16 of an ounce lead above my swivel. And then I put the cricket on there and cast it out behind the boat and just troll it as slow as you can on the lowest setting you have on your trolling motor, and just troll it along. And usually a lot of times a good way to find fish is obviously up next to the grass lines. But we found them right out in wide open water.
The last couple of times, yeah, when
13 to 18 foot of water and just kill it.
We took my boat, the Scandi White. I turned the fish ID on, which I hardly ever use, but I turned the fish ID on, so you have these little red fish that show up, and then we had caught some fish in a place where we normally were. Wind was blowing pretty good, and of course I wasn't paying that much attention. We drifted out and all of a sudden looked down, and we're in 16, 17 feet of water, and the whole screen's just red. Like, hold on a second, there's nothing out here. The bottom is flat as it can be. I don't know why they're there, but we went up and down 100-yard strip back and forth, staying in that water. And actually, you know, put on a little bit more lead, but you want to go, as Bill said, as slow as possible and keep a little tension on the rod so that you can feel them. But you get that little, they'll either attack it or you get that little bump and kind of drift your rod back a little bit and then set the hook on them. But it's a great way to find fish, but utilize that bottom machine if you got it and turn that fish ID on, because we were shocked where we found the fish.
And another thing, you know, typically when you're fishing the river or, you know, fishing lakes and this, that, and the other, if you're brim fishing, you're usually only fishing anywhere from 3 to 6, 8 foot of water. And in those sandhill ponds, when you get out on the outside of that grass, you're usually talking 9, 10, 12 foot of water. So pay attention to that, because you want to be, what we found is usually 9 up to about 18 foot of water.
Yeah.
Is where we're finding the fish.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're not going to find them up in the shallow stuff, or at least
you got to go where the fish are.
Yeah, that's true, you know.
And pay attention to the levels of where they are. You know, I mean, a lot of those fish we found at that 10, 12 foot mark or something like that. And you kind of adjust your speed and figure out, you know, if you're getting in there. Well, once again, we're at the end of it now. Could probably continue talking for a while, but Jeff's got to go home and you got to buy me breakfast. So we appreciate you joining us. Hope you have a great week. It's a great time right now to get down to the river and try out some of this catfishing or brim fish in some of these ponds. But it's really good right now.
I've never caught a fish sitting on the couch.
No, sir. You hard to catch any in the boat. But anyway, y'all have a great day. God bless, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.